Hello everyone, George here, and it's actually been quite a few weeks since I've last opened this project up. I went on vacation out in Washington State for a while, and the start of a new semester began at my university, so I've been kind of busy with that, hence the Android video drops, which are really meant to support my students and my class. I think it's about time we jump back into this project and began taking it a little bit further. And one thing I really want to do is start to stress that this is no longer simply a single level where we press the play button and we play around in it as it is. I kind of want to start to refine things so it feels a little bit more like a game itself. And the first way to do that is to actually create a start screen where the user is going to be presented with options to, of course, start the game, maybe go to a particular a day or level that they've actually already achieved, and then finally to exit the game as well. So I think that's what I'm going to focus on at this moment. What I envision, and I'm really just kind of winging this at this point, I haven't put a whole lot of forethought into it, is we're going to of course have two different scenes. Right now we have this scene, which at the moment is called test_building_test_01, a little over at the top with the testing there. But what we're going to end up doing is let's go to build, file, build settings, of course add this current scene. We're going to want another scene that we actually start with. And between the last time I was doing scene coding in Unity and this scene, Unity has undergone several upgrades to the scene manager. And instead of calling just application.load scene or whatnot, there's a whole scene manager that's buried deeper within the Unity namespace, which we're going to be messing with. And I will freely admit I'm not incredibly competent in that area. It's something new to me, but we're going to do our best and get this thing working together. I do need another scene to work with, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. And I thought it might be interesting, since we're in a Vive setting right now, to actually just export out this single room and use that as the basic scene area, and maybe even potentially putting planes in the front of these different monitors, and when you raycast into one of them, maybe one will say start, exit, level select, settings, and so forth and so on. So the idea behind the Vive is it's 360 degrees, fully encompassing what you see, so why not put options all around the user and give them an environment to explore. The environment will be their security room. All right, that being said, I actually need a model of just the scene, so why don't we jump into Maya real quick. All right, so here's the scene as we left it last. Hide away everything that's not important at the moment. Frame up on this object right here. I just want to double check that this object truly is, what is the word, watertight. So yeah, let's go with that. So here's our object. We'll grab the entire thing. Let's go to File, Export Selection. We're going to do an FBX. And I need to find the right place, but since we're in Maya LT, which is the crappier version of Maya, we're going to make sure that we do a send to Unity. Let's set the project. I doubt it's the right, no, it's not the right project. Let's go up and find a night at Georgie's. There it is. Select, File, Export Selection. No, excuse me, File, send to Unity, because that doesn't have an FBX limitation on the number of polys. Do a selection, and let's see here, FBX, and inside of here, let's just call this security room _01. Just security room. I'll end up replacing it later on. There's no reason to go into specifics like that. Embed media, yes please, even though we probably have most of these assets, or we will probably have most of these texture assets later on. That should have exported. Come over to Unity. We'll notice the load dialog pop up, and things should have popped over here. Go into FBX, and we have security room and security room 01. Security room is the correct one. Security room 01 is an old version, which we should probably go ahead and nuke from the project. So let's go to File, New Scene, and let's grab our security room, drag and drop it on in, hit F key to frame up on that. The security room's scale factor is probably wrong. It looks like I need a scale factor of 100 at the moment. So let's go ahead, hit apply on that, and there we are. Much larger, much bigger. Because this is a new scene, we've lost all of our HTC Vive stuff, as well as any prefabs we may have created from beforehand. So let's save things out, and we'll call this 00_ main menu. And I'm actually going to go back to our prior scene now. Scenes right there, and test build, yes, _00. And I'm going to go to our camera manager right here and our camera system, and that's what's really important to me. I did create a prefab of the camera system along with all the Vive stuff, so I should be able to take this into the next scene without any work. I believe the camera system, it might have a security camera under it already. Let's move this in here. Come over here, we have the head, we have the eye, and we should have a camera system. Yes, we do. So let's nuke the main camera. There's no reason to keep that right now. Hit save key, and I'm gonna go ahead and launch this in the Vive just to make sure things are working properly. But before I do that, let's go to the camera system again. Actually, the root here. Open up the transform. It's at 0, 0, 0. The camera system, though, is not. So let's move that forward. And closer to the desk is what I'm kind of anticipating this to be like. Let's go to an orthographic view, look from the top down, not perspective, orthographic, isometric, whatever. And let's do 0 and X, and maybe a little bit further back, somewhere along that line. There we are. And go back to perspective view and look at it from this angle. No, perspective, thank you very much. Control S to save. And let's go ahead and run the game. So we have these different monitors in front of us, right here and here. And I got to be careful because I haven't calibrated my Vive. Therefore, I don't know where the boundaries actually exist. But it might be nice if I point the controller at a monitor and select my preferences for the game. Yes, and as we can see now that I'm looking here, we've got all this kind of junk from the prior scene where we have power graphic issues and things not being found. So we're going to want to cut down this particular prefab when it's in this particular scene. Now that being said, we need to set a few things up. We need to put graphics on all these different screens. And because I kind of want to keep this separate and different from all the other scenes, I'm probably going to go into Maya and set up some different views on these objects. So all right, jumping back into Maya now, into this scene right here. Probably just be easier for me to create planes that will be sitting in front of these with the different graphics on them. So let's dive into Photoshop, create a new file. Let's do 2048 by 2048. And I envision all the text being in one doc. Nuke the background, come in here, and let's just do start game, maybe. I have no idea what font I'm working with. Franklin Gothic Book is what it says right now. I have no idea what project I was working on before this. Let's hit Control and apostrophe to get my grid to come up here. And let's start just laying down text, copying text and just seeing what I'm actually going to need for this. So I should probably have an exit or close somewhere around there. And let's see what else we got. So let's move this. That's start game. I'll probably have a settings. I mean, I don't know. I'm just assuming, and assuming's a bad thing, so I'm probably screwing myself over, but let's just put it in there because most games have some form of settings. I don't know what this one's going to be. We'll leave it blank for now. We'll leave it as future space if we want more information to pop up. Let's grab all three of these, come over to the character stuff, and change their font size to something larger, maybe 500. Oh, way too big. 300 maybe. There we go, that's better. Move that over there. And I'm really not caring too much about how this looks at this moment because we really haven't gotten to the phase of the game where we care about aesthetics. Let's do we want to do a glow or do we want to do a stroke? I just want to make sure these are visible to the player. Let's do an outer glow. I don't want to do an outer glow because an outer glow typically deals with multiple levels of transparencies. And while this will be on a plane, I'd rather just work with well, something easy. So white might be too much. Let's go with black, make it a little bit larger, something like that. And we'll just see what it looks like. We'll put them on all of these for right now. Whoops, there we go, and there we go. Let's go to File, Save As, and that's Photoshop stuff. And we'll call this Main Menu. And let's go to File, Save As a PNG, FNAF, and Textures, and save that out there as well. Come over into Unity now, go to Textures, right, actually let's create a new folder. Create folder and Main Menu. And import new asset. I've become a fan of differentiating different things by folder, just because when you're working with a team of individuals, even though this is my own personal project, when you are working with a team of individuals, having things broken down by particular asset or particular package is a really nice way of compartmentalizing your code. So now I actually need to set some things up. We can edit these objects if we want to, but I really don't see a reason to do that. What I can do though what might be even easier is to just right-click face, grab the face, right-click, go to duplicate face, frame up on that object, click world coordinates, and just pull that out ever so slightly from it. That should have, if I'm correct, created a new face for that particular object. You right-click and duplicate face, world coordinates as well, and just move it out ever so slightly. All right, so let's name these objects so that inside of Unity we're going to have an easy time finding them. I'm going to edit delete all by type really quick by history just to make things a little bit easier for me. Let's name it Start Menu. Let's name this one right here Settings Menu. And let's go over here and name this one Exit Menu. Save. And we're going to export this entire thing out and bring it into Unity as before. Edit, delete all by type history, grab it all, file, send to Unity, selection, pretty room. Yes. Come over to Unity, let it reload things. Give it a second here. I want to see. It did find it. There's our start menu under this poly surface 2 and that original start menu right there. We've got our start menu. We should have our settings menu, and we should also have our exit menu right there. Let's put colliders on these guys. They're just plain, so the colliders might mess up a bit. So let's do add component, collider. We're going to do a box collider for them. We are going to want to add some thickness to it. There's center, there's size. Let's do 0.2. Come down to settings menu, do the same thing, box collider, and 0.2. Finally, our exit menu, add component, box collider, and 0.2. There we are. Save. All right, so we have the different objects here. That's going to work for us just fine. We have our camera system. As I had mentioned, though, the camera system is a bit overkill at the moment. It's expecting all kinds of things like power systems and so forth, and none of them are really necessary for what we're doing at the moment. So I'm going to delete power graphics, yes, and destroy the prefab. Let's delete the usage stuff as well. There's a time graphic, which also has no bearing on our game at the moment. And taking a look at our scene right now, we already created a use manager. The Vive controller script, though, operates using trigger enters and trigger exits, in which case we see whether or not an object can be used, and if we can, then we use it. And I don't want to throw this away. And more importantly than not reusing script is making sure the player itself understands the rules of the game. And many times the start menu, the beginning of the game, is their first sort of understanding of what rules are present and how they're going to interact with different things. And in this case, I want touching things to be how they interact, because that's how they're going to do it in the game. In the game, they touch the different door panels, they touch the light, they touch door controls, and anything else at the moment. So I want to keep with that. So instead of doing a ray cast like I had mentioned before, I want to utilize this usable interface here. So then the question becomes, all right, if we're doing that, do we create one script, and that one script for this scene is going to just differentiate between these different objects and then make things work? And that's really the easiest thing to do at the moment, so let's go with that. So let's go under our main menu, right-click, create, and let's do C# script, and just call this usable underscore main menu. Go ahead and open it up. All right, usable main menu is going to have to implement our usable interface. So let's go ahead and do that. Usable. Don't mind me if I screw things up a little bit here and there. That's because I've been coding in Java for the last few weeks to teach my Android class. So there we go, easy enough. So in Java, we would do and implements the usable interface as opposed to the colon notation, which is similar to C++. Anyway, not that you care, we have our public void use method here with the throwing of an exception because it hasn't been implemented. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. What we're going to want to do in this case is get a sense of what's actually been used. So save this out real quick. Now I'm noticing use right now doesn't send any information, which means I am going to need to know a lot more than what I have here that's going on. I'm going to create a separate usable thing for each of those items. And you know what, rather than fundamentally changing how everything works, it's probably a good idea for me to do that. Although in, I don't know, hindsight or current sight, whatever, I really probably should be providing more parameters to this usable. I just need to make several separate classes. So let's just do it and get it over with. So we have usable menu. Usable menu should really be usable. What do we have? Start, settings, and end. So let's just rename this one here. Main menu _ start. Why not? Start a new convention. Come back in here, hit yes, reload all, make sure the name follows suit properly because the name of the file no longer matches the name of the class. There we are. And let's just do a file, let's see, save as, and we're going to do a settings, and let's do a file, save as, end or exit. Let's do exit. Save, come back in Unity, let it load those up. Click on each one to load them up in the editor. All right, so here's exit, start, and settings. Let's make sure that these names follow suit. Save, start should be good, and exit needs to be changed, exit. There we are. So now we should be good across all these classes. Now all we need to do is implement use right here. Before I even do that though, let's go back into Unity and add these to each of those items. So start menu is going to have a new component. Let's go ahead and do start. There we are. Settings menu, add settings to it. Exit, add exit to it. Save as well. Now we can come over here and start deciding what's going to actually happen. And what we're going to use for this is the, well, at least new to me, it might not be new to you, but it's the newer interface for handling scene transitions inside of Unity. So let's go to File, Build Settings, and make sure we add this to the current scenes. I'm going to just change their ordering so it actually matches kind of what I expect the game to be like, with 0, 0 to be index 0, and the actual scene to be 1. But really at the moment, all we want to do is either exit the game or start. Settings for right now is going to do nothing because I don't have any settings to adjust. As we go on with the game, maybe we'll add a nightmare mode or other things to enable, but for right now, it's not an issue. So start is going to want to launch our next scene. So let's do, and pardon me looking up the documentation, but the reality is, once again, I was used to the older way of doing these things, so I'm just making sure I know what the hell I'm doing. Scene manager, so never feel bad about looking up documentation. It's how we know to handle all the multitude of things that we're dealing with. And in my case, I'm still used to the old application method of starting a new scene. So I need unityengine.sceneManager, and then I'm probably going to do, let's see, load scene, loads the scene by name or index in the build settings. Let's go to that, in which case we can use either one of these methods right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I already have, let's see, unityengine dot, was it scene, unityengine dot scene management dot scene manager dot load scene. Right now we don't need to go by name. It's loading scene 1 in this case, so we're going to go with that. And for exiting the game, we're just going to use application dot quit. There we are. Save. Come back into Unity now, check to see if we have any errors. I don't see anything at the moment, although one thing I think we're going to run into is how close we are to these different screens. So let's go to the camera system and see what our space is. Now in my current space, the space that I'm using to play this game, I don't quite have enough to reach these screens, so I'm going to move the player up. One thing we are going to have to think about in the future is a way of condensing this main control room based upon the player space of the Vive. And it's not very difficult to do, but it is going to kind of need to change the layout of the scene. These monitors might need to get pushed or squashed together. These side walls are going to need to be pushed further out or closer together, and it's just not something I want to deal with at the moment. So we're going to let things be as they are. Let's go ahead and run this. And there we are. I'm within the player space. I have both controllers. I need to put textures on these. Yeah, I'll do that next. But the idea is that if there we are. Oh, hey, check it out. There we are. We went ahead and started the next scene. We moved ahead. Our lighting doesn't seem right, so I'm going to have to figure that one out. But we do have power. And we do have door control, so that much worked properly. I believe I removed that light for my own debug testing to see how things are working. We're going to need to get rid of those nodes, as you can see on the floor, that are incredibly bright. Geez, and I can't even get to that door at the moment, so let's go ahead and whoops, turn that off. Power is not so bad. Yeah, that's right, I adjusted that. Oh, the door, open the door. Okay, so we're only at 1 a.m. Let me try to look out of the hall. This is not how you're supposed to play the game. I can't quite see anything, but I'm sure something's coming at me. But anyway, that works. So let's go ahead and restart the game really quick and look at it from the exit point of view. Okay, so here we are in the game. So this was start, this was settings, and exit is crap. Over here, one of these, isn't it? So I'm in debug mode, so let me, let's see here. Let's turn this off for a second. And what I'm gonna wanna do in debug mode is actually just print this out. Did I add that script? So let's go over here to security room and exit. And we do have the exit script right there. For right now, let's just do a, what is it, a debug.log and exit. And the exit function fires, so when we're actually playing the game, everything should be fine. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video because it's getting a little bit long, but we do have scene transitions now between a start menu and an exit menu. In the next video, I'm gonna go ahead and add those graphics. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Look forward to more content like this in the future, interspersed with a lot of other projects I'm working with. I'll see you later. George out. Bye.